Good evening, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastbinder.
And if you are returning, welcome back. If you're new, what we do here is that we critique stuff. Usually we do something new or contemporary, pairing it with something older or classic. Although this week we've got a nice smattering of old, new, and a little in between.
Yeah. And cutting a wide swath, going a little beyond regular movies this time.
Yes, indeed. I think got the wrong movie for our first topic up there in there, DB. But
Oh, do I not have A-Team up there?
I thought we were. Oh, yeah, that's right. We were doing. Okay, yes, you are correct, DB. I was mistaken. I didn't get much sleep last night, so
That's totally fair.
I've been off all day. Yeah, but yes, our first movie tonight is the A-Team.
Dun, 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 dun. So I ended up seeing this in the theater back in the day.
I did not. I got it. I watched it on DVD, but no. Yeah, see it here, Arthur.
Like I was one of the only people who went to see it in the theaters because this thing was a bit of an underperformer. It is, of course, a movie adaptation of the beloved 80s TV show, The A-Team.
Yes.
A group of 4 ex-military people who were sentenced to a crime they didn't commit, who then proceeded to go out and work as soldiers of fortune, there to help those in need.
Yes. And the original 80s series, the characters were all Vietnam veterans. In this, they are Iraq War veterans. And actually, the movie's got a little prologue where it shows how they all met. We first meet Colonel Hannibal Smith, who's played by Liam Neeson. They're taking out he's taking out a drug cartel guy with Lieutenant Face Peck. I think that's right. Was it Peck? Yeah. Who's played by Bradley Cooper. And then, of course, along the way, they meet B.A. Baracus, Bosco B.A. Baracus, who in the 80s series, he's played by Mr. T. But in this, he's played by an old MMA fighter named Quentin Rampage Jackson, who had a very, let's just say, very tumultuous career, from what I understand. This was he was trying to be one of the many actors, people of his, from his background, trying to make it into acting. Some of them did okay, some of them not so much. And I would say he's definitely in the latter category. But if you're an eagle-eye observer, when they first introduce him, he's got tattoos on his hands, and one hand it says pity, and then the other one says fool. That was Mr. T's catchphrase. I pity the fool.
Which I don't know if he ever actually says that out loud.
He did in Rocky 3.
Well, I mean, if
yeah.
in this movie, I mean,
No, he calls people fool though. Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much of the movie, but yeah, he and then hey Ninja, good to see you.
Hey Ninja.
And then as they're making their escape, they have to they go to a hospital, and
you left out Face basically.
Face,
so basically everybody's role. Hannibal's the leader. He's the guy with the plan.
Yeah.
Face is like the infiltration artist / BS artist.
Yes.
The character formerly played by Mr. T, whose name is escaping me because I always just think of him as Mr. T.
BA.
BA. BA is the muscle / driver.
Yeah.
But they need to get out of there, and so yes, they end up at a Mexican hospital where you have what was his name again?
Murdoch.
Murdoch, the crazy one,
Yeah.
who is also a insane pilot who can pull off physically impossible maneuvers with civilian aircraft.
Yeah. Yes, and he's played by I don't know how to pronounce his name. Charlton Copley, who was most people know him from District 9. He was the main guy in that movie. And but yeah, he does this thing where he does like a barrel roll with the helicopter.
A civilian non-military helicopter that is not designed for barrel rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, even the bad guy's like, did you see him do that? What the hell?
Which I think the opening sequence does a great job of setting the expectations for this movie, because like there are movies where they have a realistic-ish depiction of damage and injury and stakes and everything. These characters are cartoons when you get down to
Yes.
it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the original TV show was basically a live action cartoon.
Right, because like didn't they
Yeah.
get through a lot of shooting without a lot of hitting?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It was actually one of my older brother's favorite shows when he was a kid. So that should tell you something right there. Uh, but yeah, and then so you have that whole sequence, and then we flash forward 8 years to the end of the Iraq War, and they've got a new mission that. And there are two people who one of them says, "Okay, I need your help with the mission," and it's a CIA agent named Lynch, who oddly enough, a lot of CIA agents are named Lynch.
Now that is something I've never heard of outside of this movie. Is this like an actual thing in real life, or is this just their shorthand for they never actually know the guy's name?
I think probably the latter, because I've never really heard it either. I think it's just some like oh spies and spooks. You never know who they really are, and
Right, like whenever the Lynch guy introduces himself, it's like, oh, name's Lynch, huh? I knew a guy named Lynch in Vietnam.
yeah. And Hannibal's like, I knew a Lynch during the Desert Storm.
Were you related?
Yeah.
Uh,
uh, yeah.
So this first mission that we're really seeing after they've been established is also kind of sets the tone of things, where things are like semi-plausible but very cartoonish, because basically the Shah of Iran had a old U.S. dollar printing press, and it fell to the Iraqis captured it during the Iran-Iraq War, and now Saddam, the remnants of Saddam's army or whatever are going to flood the market with counterfeit bills. And I'm thinking to myself, there's a lot of things wrong with that. Like, I don't care how good of an ally you are, and I'm open to being wrong, but I can't imagine any other country ever being given a U.S. dollar printing press.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even think we would do that for Great Britain.
Yeah, like
uh,
that is such an unusual situation.
yeah, yeah.
But it makes for a big flashy thing with a lot of big flashy action elements. Um,
Yes.
and of course, it is made to look as though they had, they had no orders to do this, because the guy who was ordering them conveniently died.
Yes. Yeah, and of course the whole thing was set up by the company in the movie is called Black Forest.
They didn't want to get sued.
Yeah, what was the other company called?
Blackwater, I think.
Blackwater. Okay, yeah, I knew it was Black something. Yeah, Blackwater. They were a private security firm. They had a lot of people in Iraq during that war. The whole thing. I don't want to get into that. And of course, the other part of it too is Face's ex-girlfriend, Captain Sosa, who's played by Jessica Biel, tells him, don't go on this mission. Don't do this. And but of course they do it in, as DB mentioned before, they do it anyway, but then they get framed to make it look like they did it because it all kind of goes wrong. And so that's how they end up court-martialed and then and thrown in prison. Then we flash forward 6 months, and Lynch visits Hannibal in prison and is like, "Oh, hey, you know, we got a lead on the Black Forest guy, and he's working with this Saudi guy, and you know, we need your help to get into complete the mission, but you know, you're in prison, so I'll help everybody break out."
Yep. And so from there, the objectives are to stay alive, clear their names, get a pardon, and restore their honor.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I think that this is a fun enough story. There's a bit of there's a love story between Face and Jessica Biel's character that is like a little. They don't have a lot of chemistry, honestly.
No, they don't.
I feel like Bradley Cooper is doing his best to bring the chemistry, and Biel kind of isn't.
Mm. Yeah, she seems more annoyed by him than anything.
Right. Which, that only works in anime because you can call them a tsundere and draw them with exaggerated blushing or whatever, but in live action you kind of need to make it so that the female love interest seems to actually like the guy to an extent.
Yeah.
Like I think that the right amount of apparent disdain that you wear down over time for that type of adventure story is probably like Leia and Han over the course of their interactions.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyhow,
oh yeah, yeah.
The cast as a whole does a good job.
Yeah.
Do we have a comment?
Yeah. Ninja says in 2008, a crack commando unit was sent to prison by a military court for a crime they didn't commit. These men probably escaped from a maximum security stockade to the Los Angeles underground. Yep. And then, today, still wanted by the government. They survive as soldiers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team. Okay, so you were saying?
Overall, if I'm looking at the cast, I think our lead four are pretty good at their jobs.
Yeah.
I'd say I have Murdoch is questionably funny at times, but I think that if I wasn't on guard for dumb Marvel style humor after the last decade or so, he would have just seemed like a silly comic relief character.
Yeah. Although I did like the part where he had the blue paint and he's doing the Blue Man Group thing, and then he makes himself look like William Wallace. If I was Rampage Jackson sitting there while he was doing that, I don't know how he didn't start cracking up when he was doing that.
For that matter, I also like the bit where they're grilling. It's like want to put some antifreeze on there? No, last time I got palsy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only temporary. Yeah, they have good camaraderie, I will say, with the four of them. Sort of reminded me of the Top Gear guys. When they, the bond that they have together, and then when they're like one of them is like separate from the other one, they kind of like rib him while he's away. Yeah.
Yep. It's a very bro-y movie.
Yeah.
Which maybe that lowered its 4-quadrant appeal.
Yeah.
I think when this came out, that was also kind of towards the tail end of where people were maybe getting a little tired of every 70s and 80s TV show getting dredged up to be a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I'm trying to remember what else. Yeah, well, we had Mission Impossible,
Starsky and Hutch.
He had Star Trek the year before. Yeah, I can kind of understand that. Yeah.
Now, I will say though, okay, so we've seen a lot of generic action movies in our time, of varying quality in both in and out of this podcast. I will say that it is a mark of at least an imaginative action movie that whenever I bring this movie up with anybody, it's like, so you know what the one scene that makes this movie great is, right? And everybody's reaction is, yeah, like when the tank falls out of the airplane and they have to use a cannon to fly.
Yeah.
Which, as far as ridiculous nonsense goes, like is that totally implausible? Yes, they would be paced. They would have probably been paced even if their parachute hadn't gotten perforated.
Yeah.
On the other hand, that is such an awesome creative scene. The madmen who came up with the set pieces in this movie are showing so much more creativity than I've seen for a bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like the end sequence is great, just from like a conceptual perspective. The characters, okay, Murdoch is kind of the silly comic relief, so he doesn't really have a character arc, but
Yeah.
BA and Face definitely do, and I think it works out well.
Yeah.
It's kind of a shame that this movie underperformed because they could have. I think they could have gotten one more movie out of this.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen like a proper like A-Team story, like what they did in the TV show, helping somebody out.
Right, instead of the classic origin movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well, it's not like what we
Yeah.
had was bad or anything. It's just
No. It's just, yeah. I'm kind of with you there too. Yeah, and the other thing too, I think this movie came out right around the same time as The Expendables, which might have hurt
okay.
it a little bit.
Yeah, they would be pursuing basically the same audience, and Expendables had way bigger star power behind it.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I definitely would recommend this movie if you're in for, if you like silly, off the wall action movies. Currently on Netflix. Yeah.
It's also just so refreshing because it's a remake made in the era before people making remakes actively hated whatever they were working on.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It stays true to its roots. Yeah, which is always a plus.
I almost wonder if part of why this movie underperformed was that, like, all through the 2000s, so many A-Team references all over popular culture.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, I wonder if it might have done better if it had landed a couple of years earlier, just before people were getting tired of the dead trope.
Oh, probably. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to escape the theme song. I mean, anytime you have like somebody working on something really cool or whatever, they always play that theme song in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, most everybody here went on to, if not, okay, Bradley Cooper went on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, and Liam Neeson's he's done steady work.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, Rampage Jackson, yeah, he's neither seen or heard from again in a very long time, and
Which is a pity because he actually had to do some acting for this one, and I thought he did a fine job with it.
yeah, yeah, and hopefully they'll actually get a District 9 sequel done so that the guy who played Murdoch can get some work. But yeah, Ninja says, I remember when it was viewed as a super generic action film at the time. Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah, if it dropped today, it'd be like, wow, this isn't like the top half of movies this year.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of super generic, Daniel, you watched a Netflix movie on your own.
It was actually Amazon Prime, but close enough.
Sorry. That makes it even more generic, since seeing as how Amazon Prime is like the Kroger version of Netflix.
Yes, it is. But yeah, I watched Playdate, which is a new action comedy starring Kevin James and Alan Ritchson, who is best known as Reacher from the Amazon Prime series Reacher. Um, and yeah, so it's basically the basic plot of the movie. Kevin James is he's a forensic accountant, and he has just gotten married to what is that actress's name? The blonde from Scrubs, Sarah Chalk. Yeah, Chalk.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, and of course she has a son, and he's trying to he's doing his best to bond with his new stepson. I mean, his stepson even calls him dad, so obviously he's doing something right. Um, but yeah, so he and his stepson are out at the park because he's trying to get him to try different sports, but his son doesn't really like sports. He prefers dancing and filming TikToks. um so but yeah, so then yes, very topical. Yeah, so but as they're at the park, they meet Alan Richson's character, who he's with his son, and they're throwing a football back and forth, and they're throwing it like really hard. And so then so Richson kind of like, for whatever reason, he just attaches himself to Kevin James. Probably because he's like, oh, I just moved here, and probably he wants a friend. And I never would have thought, like, watching an action comedy movie with Kevin James and Alan Richson, that Kevin James would be the straight man.
It's almost kind of an insult to his comedic acting chops when you think about it.
Yeah,
It's like actually, you know what? That kind of shows him moving into like a Ben Stiller era of his comedy. Because it's like in a lot of things, Ben Stiller is kind of that sort of more quiet character. Like even in, say, Tropic Thunder, he's a cartoon, or he's like a little exaggerated, but he's like comparatively normal, I guess.
Yeah.
I was about to say a better example might be the Cable Guy, but that's a terrible example, actually.
Yeah.
Never mind. Anyways, I guess what I'm saying is I could have seen Stiller playing that role like 20 years ago.
Oh yeah. But yeah, because Alan Richson's character, like he, if you watch Reacher, and on that show, he's he's really stoic, and he's a tough guy, and he takes everything very seriously, and he's like a genius level intellect and all this. He's basically, in this movie, he's basically Reacher if Reacher was dumber and goofier.
Okay.
So like, for example, like they have this whole long chase sequence where they're running away from the bad guys, and he's playing one of those like 90s nightclub songs in the background. He's just kind of dancing around the steering wheel as he's he's just goofing around, and Kevin James is like, keep your eyes on the road. But yeah, so like the whole thing is, we come to find out that Alan Richson's son here, was just seen on the poster. They're at this like Chuck E. Cheese type place, and we come to find out that he said, well, he's not my dad. He just took me. And so Kevin James is just like, oh, this is a kidnapping situation. So he tries to run away, but then that's when all these bad guys show up and start shooting at him. And we learned that Richson's character, he used to be in the army, and then but then he got a job as a security guard at this laboratory, and the kid was being held in the laboratory, so he busted him out, and so now the people running the lab are after him. And so basically the rest of the movie is them running away from the bad guys. And of course, Kevin James, he feels a bit emasculated because he's trying to protect his stepson, but he's not nearly as strong or tough as Alan Richson.
You're hanging out with Alan Richson. Like, how are you not going to feel a little inadequate?
Well, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a fairly decent action comedy. It gets a little Like a lot of movies in this genre, it does get kind of silly near the end of the movie. But I mean, overall, it's not a it's a decent enough movie. I mean, it's also not very long. It's only 90 minutes, so
Okay, so kind of the perfect sweet spot for this type of thin premise.
Yes, yeah. And also in the cast, I got to mention real quick. You've got you actually had Stephen Root is in there. He plays Richson's estranged father, and then Ilsa Fisher is in there. She plays. She was in Now You See Me. She's the redhead. She plays like the alpha mom of this, like of the mama mafia that that Kevin James runs into at the park, and then and they all drive silver minivans. And then Alan Tudyk is in there playing basically playing the bad guy. But what's weird is like, so when they first look him up, when Kevin James Googles him, like they make him look like Steve Jobs, but then when you meet him in person, he's dressed just like Elon Musk. So it's like, and he even has the same build as Elon Musk. It's just like, oh, okay, I see where you're going there. But other than that, but I mean, that's probably that might just be me nitpicking a little bit. But no, it's I mean, it's a funny movie, and it lets it let Alan Ritchson kind of stretch his acting legs a bit, and be a little more do a more playful side as opposed to the tough serious Reacher. And I will say, if they ever did, like, I'm actually kind of wore the shirt for a reason, my McBain t-shirt,
Which is a fine t-shirt.
Yeah, it is. It's a great t-shirt. If they ever did like a live action McBain, kind of like sort of like some like a Naked Gun type thing, they should get Alan Ritchson to play McBain. I could just see him. I could just even go like, buy book.
Yeah.
Ice to see you.
Go pretty, or go pennies. Go to the children who need you.
Good, yeah.
All right, you commie Nazis.
Commie Nazis.
So
but
we'll never get that that Troy McClure movie, but if this is a kind of a McBain movie, then that's kind of, it's almost as good.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Well, speaking of things that are almost as good as other things,
yeah.
All hail Space King.
Yes, all hail Space King.
So this is an independent animation I've been aware of for a bit. The backstory is that this is a guy who had formerly been making Warhammer 40K fan animations, and then Games Workshop made some new terms of service because they were tired of all these people basically having Warhammer-based YouTube channels that were making all the money they thought they deserved.
Yeah.
And so, they went back to the drawing board. And they came up with this totally original universe that is totally not reminiscent of Warhammer 40K at all. Just a huge coincidence, guys.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and so yeah, we watched the first 2 episodes, although they've got 3 episodes out so far. And yeah, so it's basically the opening sequence in the first episode is just like,
yeah, I think I might have tried to watch it at one point and gotten turned off, and then I ended up watching it with a buddy when he suggested it, and this is definitely like the blackest of black humor.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Rick and Morty wishes it had this many balls.
Oh yeah. And Ninja says it's not really his thing. That's okay. But although we haven't gotten to the Space Marine, the female Space Marine bit yet. I think that's in the 3rd one. But yeah, they show all the Space Marines going and kidnapping all the boys, and then throwing the girls into a volcano.
You know, at the end of the first episode, they described this perfectly. There's lots of indie animation for mentally unbalanced teenage girls, but here's the indie animation for mentally imbalanced teenage boys.
Yeah. Well, here it is.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Which, you know, after watching things like Has Been Hotel and Knights of Guinevere and what do you call it? What was the other one that came to mind? The Amazing Digital Circus.
Yeah.
You know, just having something that's dark humor and just over the top insanity.
Yeah, like and then they of course then they cut to our four main characters. The only characters I remember, the names I remember, are Hate Monger and Chestnut.
Yeah, well, Hate Monger's because he is like the best character, because he is just like the pure distillation of Warhammer Space Marines' hatred of aliens into a single body.
Yeah.
You know what I think about other cultures? We should try to respect them. After all, they may hate aliens too.
Yeah.
Or like they're attacked by an alien with large breasts. It's like everyone else is distracted except for Hate Monger. Oh, you're gay. What? No, I just hate aliens.
Like, oh yeah, right. Oh,
yeah. So this is basically again, it is a pastiche of Warhammer, but it's like got some differences. The overall plot is that you have these zealot space marines who are out there fighting through space. He said redundantly.
Yeah.
Mostly they're after artifacts left behind by Space King, who was, well, their king of space, who had gone off at some point thousands of years ago, and they're awaiting for his return.
Yes. And then the first episode they attack a planet and just start wiping out all the population, but then they realize, oh, you're actually on the wrong planet.
Yeah, well, you were supposed to go to that moon over there.
Yeah. Of course, this is after the lead guy, he presses the G bomb.
Yeah.
Because he just doesn't want to mess with this. He's like, just wipe him out. Just wipe him out.
But and that's kind of like the overall comedic thrust of this, is that they get a mission, it all goes horribly awry, and they manage to escalate the level of violence even higher than they were ordered to originally.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course they always they usually end up dying, quote unquote. But what happens is they bring him back by because one of the guy Chestnut, he's in charge of like
he's their medic.
He's their medic, yeah, and he they're kept alive with their holy, what do they call them, holy
globules, which are basically just their testes.
Yes. So when they die, he has to like scrummage through there and pull them out and put them in the chambers, and then they go put them in another kid and bring them back.
And the kid is just overwritten and morphed into a giant muscle-bound space marine.
Yeah. Yeah. Ninja says, Space Daddy went to get green milk. Yeah, and then of course the second episode we meet another sect of these Space Marines. They're
the coagulators.
The coagulators, yeah, they're just like dripping blood out of their armor. And because they have to meet with them because apparently they kidnapped the son of a baron during one of their recruitment drives.
It's like, oh yeah, it's okay to kidnap kids en masse, but man, if it was the kid of someone important, then we could get in trouble.
Yeah. Okay. And, uh, oh god, and what happens to that poor kid is just
Yeah, like it is the blackest of black humor. I could see a huge swath of the population just would not enjoy this thing the same way I do.
oh yeah,
And
yeah,
it's sort of black humor I usually like would discredit, or like, I would chastise shows like Rick and Morty for having.
yeah.
But I think I like this better because it is just so honest about it. And like basically they have character arcs that are like a Saturday morning cartoon is the way I'd put it. Just
Yeah.
everything happening around them is horrific.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Especially for an indie animation team, this is really impressive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, 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 between this and Monkey Wrench, yeah, there are some really great like indie animators out there that definitely need more attention and more love and more money. Preferably not Hollywood money.
So apparently, Space King was offered to be bought out, and they ultimately decided to reject that and uh, went their own way with a fan support. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that seems to be working out for them because it doesn't
Yeah.
always.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you can catch the episodes on YouTube. They also have a Patreon where they show the uncensored versions of the episodes. So if you want to throw them some money and watch the uncensored episodes, go over there.
Uh, I'll admit, every time they show like a censored thing, I think to myself, I don't know that my life would be enhanced by knowing what was behind that black bar.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, definitely recommend it.
Yep. Now, moving on to our next review topic, we have another extremely over-the-top violent animation. I went out and saw Chainsaw Man, the Reze arc in theaters. I'd had a coworker say he had a good time with it, and also when I realized this was that it was this story arc from the series, which basically featured the Bomb Devil, which is probably my favorite overall. When I read the manga,
Hmm.
uh, I was like, okay, you know what? Why not? Um, so on the first thing I'll say, on a scale of how understandable would this be if you hadn't actually watched the series up to this point? Um, one being, I have absolutely no idea what's going on because they're always talking heavy continuity, and five being, oh, there's a series about this too? Cool. I would never have guessed. I would put this at like uh, I'll probably give this a 3. Get some points docked because it is a one-to-one adaptation of the manga, so there are side characters who aren't really introduced at all who show up at a couple of points.
Oh, okay.
Uh, but on the flip side, it's in the middle of a big fight, so you wouldn't necessarily like you just and okay, Chainsaw Man. Okay, I think of Chainsaw Man, My Hero Academia, and Demon Slayer as being like the three horsemen of manga eating American comics lunch 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Although apparently Chainsaw Man, just in terms of raw sales, isn't up there with those other ones. Also, Jujutsu Kaisen, so
Mhm.
four horsemen, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, I think Chainsaw Man has the lowest sales of those four, um, but they all have their own flaws or their own. Like every one of their main characters, I say, is like missing something to be a complete human being. In Denji, aka Chainsaw Man's case, um, he is he had a awful hard scrabble life growing up. I literally sold, I believe he sold one of his eyes and one of his testes for food money at one point.
Wow.
Like awful hard scrabble life.
Yeah.
And so he basically operates at the low levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Uh,
And I don't know that the movie would necessarily it doesn't necessarily give you that context because it kind of starts like, oh, with one of the minor characters, or one of the major supporting characters, Power, being pulled out, and him getting a temporary replacement who is a land shark.
Mm.
But in this world, basically, there are devils of things that people are afraid of. So the mightiest of them all is the Chainsaw Devil, who ended up implanted in Denji's chest and operates as his heart. If he pulls the ripcord on his chest, he turns into Chainsaw Man.
Mm.
And so, the more powerful a fear is, the more devastating the devil. So it's like the Sword Devil, very powerful, able to operate on about the same level as Chainsaw Man. There are devils for lesser fears that are commensurately much less powerful. They also don't really go into that lore either. What the movie does do very well, though, is it, how to put it? Have you seen the meme where it says, "What guys want in a woman?" It's just basically, is female, cares about you.
Yeah.
That's the end of the list of requirements.
Yeah.
Denji is just that easy because he has a meet cute with this young woman named Reze, and a couple of very awkward dates. And it's like, okay, something is wrong here because Denji is not remotely charismatic. Like the first time he meets this girl, he had been offered a flower and he said, "Oh, thanks." And because, again, food is food, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, he just eats the flower. And then when he wants to impress this girl, he proceeds to spit the flower back up and gives it to her, and she is not immediately running, screaming the other direction.
Yeah. Ninja says, the anime manga about the dangers of simping.
Not even just the dangers of simping, the dangers of like just male loneliness epidemic in general.
Yeah.
And so, the relationship seems to be going well. She likes him. They swim together naked. This earned its R rating for a variety of reasons.
Mm.
I didn't stop there from being like, it was either like somewhere between 12 and 14-year-old kid with his mom in the row in front of me.
Ooh.
So it's like, you know what? If you're okay with your kid watching that, at least you're here moderating.
Yeah.
But at a key moment, it turns out that shock of shock, and I don't honestly like this story has been told in the manga long enough. If you have watched the Chainsaw Man anime, you've probably already seen this. If not, it is a complete-ish story.
Mm.
But then she attacks, and what do you know? It turns out the older girl who inexplicably liked him, this teenage doofus, was the bomb devil the whole time, sent to assassinate him. And part of the reason this is my favorite arc of the manga is, first off, I am a sucker for romance, even if it is like misplaced. Because like there is a tragic element to it. It's like a Batman Catwoman thing if Batman had the emotional maturity of a 6-year-old. Also, the fight scenes in this are just so monumentally crazy and imaginative. You notice that there's the land shark down there. Notice how he instead of fins he has like spider legs.
Oh yeah.
Denji rides him like a horse at one point,
Okay.
like running sideways up walls. And it's the sort of I think I've always thought of Chainsaw Man as being like the visual descendant of things like Venom and Carnage, in terms of like these snaggly toothed superhumans with like chaotic bodies and everything.
Yeah.
And so it appeals to me on that level, but also like it is a tragic story in its own ways. And while I did ding it slightly for basically not adding any exposition scenes, I think the characters it actually focuses on, you do get a good sense of them.
Mm.
Also, the animation is very insane. Like it's, I would say that I saw the Demon Slayer movie last month. That one has objectively better animation, but this is a Mappa joint, and Mappa is known for being weird and experimental. And boy, do they go weird and experimental in that fight scene.
Uh,
Like they play around um, with lines and color and movement in ways that I haven't seen before. And even in moments where I said, I don't know if I necessarily like how that looks, it was over so quickly and moved on to the next crazy way to show uh, a man with chainsaws for arms riding on top of a land shark while fighting an enormous baby
no.
in the middle of a cyclone.
Oh, Jesus.
Um, like it's just for sheer visual spectacle. I think you can have a good time with it. It's also a faster story than Demon Slayer, both in terms of runtime, but also in terms of pacing. Because rather than being a series of fights that don't necessarily resolve, this does have a beginning, middle, and end. So that
Okay.
alone makes it a better use of your movie dollar.
Yeah. Okay.
You also know that this is going to get chopped up and put into the next season of the show. So if it wasn't already part of the show, I kind of fell off the show itself because I fell off the manga where I was ahead of it.
Hmm.
So, but either way, there's going to be an alternate way to watch this besides seeing it in the theaters. I would just say that this is worth your time. If like honestly, if what we described about Space King sounds appealing at all, this is like a teen-friendly version of Space King in some ways,
Yeah.
even a similar element of child soldiers.
Oh. Oh. Huh. Okay.
Like that's where Reza has some depth. Is that like, okay, is she just you?
Hmm. Are you still there, DB? I think looks like we might be having some technical issues with DB.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, you cut out there for about 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you were saying something about you was, I can't remember what you were talking about.
Oh, okay. So apologies if I repeat myself. This is a movie with a distinct beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
So it's a more complete story. And while Denji himself is a very simple character, he's simple in an interesting way because he just operates on such an instinctual level that, like, he isn't Deku he isn't Deku crying as he realizes the depth of what's going on around him. He
Yeah.
isn't Tanjiro who has sympathy for his enemies.
Hmm.
He's just a young kid who wants 3 squares a day, a place to sleep. Oh, and maybe a boob occasionally.
Yeah. Okay.
He is dead simple.
Yes.
I actually found myself when I was talking about a coworker about it, Matt, remembering Ogre Cap from the Cinderella Grey Uma Musume series on
Yeah.
Amazon, where her whole thing is, why do you run? Well, I couldn't walk when I was a kid, so just walking is a miracle to me.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar with Denji, where it's like any sort of human affection is like an unimaginable miracle for him.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, and so, and the real complexity is in the characters around him.
Hmm. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I've been meaning to get into this series, since it came out, because it's just, it seems like just the right level of batshit crazy for me that I could probably enjoy it.
Right. I would say it's less batshit crazy than Space King.
Okay.
So if you got anything on a Space King, you will probably enjoy this too.
Okay.
Speaking of batshit crazy premises,
Yeah.
our last movie tonight is excuse me, is the classic comedy movie Kingpin.
Yes, from the Farrelly Brothers, who also did Dumb and Dumber, and There's Something About Mary. Uh, yeah, this is a movie that in my household, my parents used to watch it all the time, but I wasn't allowed to watch it for obvious reasons. Um, but yeah, so this movie is about
Well,
basically.
well, and from my perspective, if you were in a if you were in video stores in the 90s, this was always very prominent, and it always seemed like the type of movie that my family might have gotten, except that having now watched it as an adult, it's like, oh, okay, yep, I see why mom and dad wouldn't approve.
Yes, although oddly enough, this movie has a PG-13 rating.
Really?
Yes,
Who did they bribe at the MPAA for that one?
I don't know. Man, yeah, but yeah. So this movie is the story of Roy Munson, played by Woody Harrelson, who's a bowling prodigy, and his big claim to fame is he wins the Iowa State Championship, and then he goes on the pro circuit. And as he's on, and this is in 1979, and as he's trying to make his way through the bowling leagues, he runs into Ernie McCracken, played brilliantly by Bill Murray.
Playing to type is kind of a self-obsessed jerk.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. Ninja asks us if it's 80s PG-13. It must be, yeah.
Even though it's a 90s movie.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and so what happens is, of course, Roy needs some cash, and so Ernie, Big Ern, he teaches Roy the art of the bowling hustle, where they go into a bowling alley, and they pretend they're drunk, and then they put up a bunch of money, and then bet a bunch of money, and then they act like they're like, oh, I'm not very good, or I'm drunk or whatever, but then then they win. Classic hustle, yeah. But it's during this hustle that the guys that they hustled didn't take too kindly to that, and so Ernie leaves Roy behind, and poor Roy, they stick his bowling hand into the air chute where the bowling balls come out, and so he loses his hand, and as you see in the poster, he's got the hook. But he also wears like a rubber prosthetic hand that has his championship ring on it.
Yep. And so his life
yeah.
goes absolutely nowhere from that point.
Yes, and so then, but then as he's trying to make a living selling stuff in bowling alleys, he comes across Ishmael, who's played by Randy Quaid. And of course, Ishmael is Amish. Oh yeah, we probably should mention it takes place in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which for those of you who don't know is also where The Office takes place. And
also, wasn't it the birthplace of our 46th president?
Yes, it was. Yeah. And so he of course he's Ishmael lives in this Amish community, and so he just of course Roy's like, oh, this guy's a great bowler, and so then he tries to get him to like, hey, let me take you on, and so they can earn some make some money. And of course Ishmael, he's not supposed to be bowling because he's Amish. It's against our culture. And so, but then what ends up happening is the farm, the community, their Amish community, they need $500,000 to say to pay off their mortgage. and of course they have the big bowling championship in Reno, where the grand prize is $1 million, and so they come up with this this scheme like, okay, well, we got to get to Reno, but then they don't have any money, so they start trying to hustle, and and of course as they're hustling, they hustle this like real rich jerk, and of course he has a girlfriend, and the girlfriend's in the poster. I'm trying to remember the name of the Claudia, and so basically it's just then it turns into the three of them going around hustling at all these different bowling alleys, getting some money so that they can go to Reno to win this big tournament. And of course, waiting for them in Reno is Ernie McCracken and his comb over.
Yeah. So a lot of the comedy in this movie is just dumb, like sight gags and almost airplane-esque jokes.
Yeah. And it is extremely raunchy too.
Yes, the scene where Woody Harrelson is pretending to be another Amish. Like, oh, I went out to the barn and decided to help you out, and I milked your cow. We don't have a cow. Got a bull though.
Yeah. As he's drinking from the bucket.
Which, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna go brush my teeth.
If that joke made you more disgusted than intrigued, this movie is not for you, because it doesn't get any more highbrow.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. But this movie is it's a comedy classic for a reason. Yeah, it's just kind of one great gag after another, and and then of course you got Randy Quaid's Ishmael, who's just as you would expect from an Amish guy. He just out in the real world, and he doesn't know how anything works, and
Very.
Yes, yeah.
It did occur to me that the 90s comedies, both on TV and in movies, were kind of obsessed with the Amish. And then I realized, in the early stages of political correctness, the Amish were like the one minority group who wouldn't be liable to know about your movie and write letters.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they wouldn't know that you're making fun of them.
And it does kind of also, how to put it, they are also since it is a very closed community, it also tracks in terms of it is very. I'm going to start over. It basically makes for excellent fish out of water stories where people can understand the premise very quickly.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and of course you got like Woody Harrelson. He's just this. He started off as just this kind of like wide. He starts off as this like wide-eyed, very naive, like small town guy, and then he just turns into this total shyster with a hook hand.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, I've seen a few Woody Harrelson movies now, thanks to this podcast and other things. This is definitely my favorite of his performances.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah,
it makes me like Now You See It even less because of the raw natural comedy resource that they just left on the back burner.
Yeah. I wholeheartely agree with that. Yeah. The other thing too, like you remember, I think you were talking about like how like the gags, that just really the punchlines always worked. Like the one scene that got me was when Roy and Claudia are fighting. You know, they actually get into like a fist fight at one point, and she kicks him in the balls, and of course, normally, a lot of comedies have a scene like that where a guy like gets hit in the balls or kicked in the balls or whatever. But this movie does it better when he gets kicked and then he says, "You got a really wide foot. You got both of them."
Which works as like an insult on her too.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you, we'll try not to give away too many of the jokes because I do want people to watch this movie.
Yes.
It
is worth your time, and it does actually have a bit of heart to it, which you wouldn't necessarily expect for a raunchy comedy like this. But you do find the characters sympathetic in their own ways.
Yes. Yeah, and there is some redemption too with them too. Yeah. But yeah, it's this one's on Netflix. So yeah.
Give it a shot, why don't you?
Yes, indeed. Well, I think we've said all we need to say for tonight.
Indeed.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it as always. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ring the bell, buy some books, and we'll. Are we going to be back next week?
We hadn't really discussed that. With it being Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving falling right around our usual show times, probably not.
Probably not, but yeah. Well, if we don't see you next week, we'll definitely see you the week after. So until then, good night, everybody.
Good night.